So the car's coming round on the warm-up lap, 2 hours is on the clock. Jackson Bell, Toyota leading out, Finn Wiebelhaus. This will be his debut, won't it, in the IMSA Championship, and certainly in the Pilot Challenge, Ryan, for Finn, who stepped in as a Ford selected, a Ford young driver, I guess, been plying his trade in Europe to Magumbi McAleer Racing.
Exactly right. It is his debut here stateside. He's the reigning ADAC GT Masters Silver Class champion last year. He's definitely part of that Ford Racing driver development team that was announced back in January, and so kind of a late call-up here to join a championship contending team. His job will be to keep that car up toward the front and keep his co-driver Robert Nowaker in a position to build on his points lead that he comes into this weekend with. It's not massive, only 100 points, but they're in the position everybody else would like to be in the GS class, just working in a new co-driver.
So get on the edge of your seat here. Take a deep breath now, because this might be the last opportunity you have to have one in the next 2 hours. Minimum driver time is 40 minutes, both classes. That doesn't work either for the 2 hour race distance, and it is deliberately done like that by IMSA. We often say that people will look at this and go, this is not proper endurance race, only 2 hours. Yes, but the way that it is all structured, the fuel stint, the driver stint, it means that the very clever people on the pit wall have to put in as much work and effort as those behind the wheel to be constantly looking at what is going on in terms of the tactics and the strategical manoeuvres that have to be made. Trust me, they will have a spreadsheet of if at then, which will probably change 6 or 7 times during this race. This is not a place where we tend to have a lot of intervention from the safety car. It is the dark horse Ford Mustang acting as our safety car here for the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. In TCR, by the way, Brian Hurd at Autosport, Hyundai Elantra, number 33, is on pole position with LP Montour and the Honda on the outside of the front row. Both of those cars were very impressive indeed in qualifying, but that is a very, very tight class. Both championships still very much up for grabs as we go into the end of the season. Green flags in the air. Let's go racing. Down towards the horseshoe for the first time, and it is the pole sitter in the Toyota Supra GR GT4. Jackson Bell converts and pulls out a little bit of a lead actually on Finn Wiebelhaus. Kyle Chavez went through in third. Here's the TCRs. Honda on the outside, Hyundai on the inside. Third place for Kyle Chavez, for the second, or the first rather, of the Audis. First of the Baker cars. Around the outside, the dark grey is the Victor Gonzalez Racing Cupra Leon, number 99. That's been started by Stephen Clements. Started in fourth position, looking to improve. Two decent starts, two clean starts. Just holding my breath for a moment as I say that, because the battle is on for fourth place in TCRs. Preston Brown was trying to force his way through, but no, Ryan, we have two clean starts. Woohoo!
Well, that's what we wanted to see, definitely. Always an anxious moment headed down to the turn one here at VIR. Both classes seem to negotiate that with aplomb. And for Jackson Bell, he has been the quickest driver here in GS all weekend. Converted that pace from practice into his first career Pilot Challenge GS class pole, and has sprinted away of the debutant Wiebelhaus in the Mustang, who himself is under pressure from the heart of racing, Aston Martin, which has been starting up front with some regularity here recently. Poles in the last 3 events. They were denied the pole here this weekend, but great pace as we've come to expect from that 26 car, which is sitting in third, challenging for second.
MMR number 13 with the new driver. Pulls to the right-hand side of the circuits early, coming down the start-finish line area. Goes through turn 18 over a slight rise and back to start another lap. right in behind Hannah Greenmeyer, Heart of Racing, Aston Martin. The two Hannahs have had great pace and great qualifying pace. They haven't had the rub of the green in racing conditions in the last couple of events, Ryan.
No, that's fair. Again, those poles, as we mentioned, in the last 3 events, but the best result to show for those poles is just a 6th at Watkins Glen. So what they would like to see is a nice trouble-free run today where they can let that pace speak for itself. And up a spot here at the start, really good job by Greenmeyer to get the jump on Chavez, grab that 3rd spot right away, and immediately, as I mentioned, on the assault here, putting plenty of pressure on Wiebelhaus, who has a lot of new to try and digest here this weekend. First time to VIR, first time with this team, first time in this championship, and has the pressure of a co-driver who's the championship leader on his shoulders here as well.
Yeah, that is a very, very good point, and that is quite a bit of weight on that young man's shoulder. He's also not used to racing in the States. There's very different attitudes towards weaving and blocking and defending here. He holds his racing line going across the second of the 2 brows on the back straight into the little kink at turn 13. That's the left-hander, then into the heavier braking area at the top of the roller coaster, turn 14, and now diving down the hill. Hannah Greenmeyer looking for an opportunity right in the wheel tracks of that MMR Mustang. The 2 green, black and white cars, green, blue, black and white cars, actually looking very similar from the front end and using similar colours now onto the front straight again of the front run. Jackson Bell's gone through in the fastest lap of the race with a 64.9, and again Wiebelhaus goes to the inside. Finn making sure that anyone going around will have to take the long way. It's Caio Chavez sitting in behind in the red, white and black machine. For a moment, it's an opportunity as the inside opens up and through goes Greenmeyer at NASCAR. Turn 3, the wall of champions on drivers right there. Many big names have run into down through the years. That was smart, it was patient, but it was, Ryan, decisive when the pass was made by Hannah Greenmeyer. Good stuff from both drivers.
Fantastic. Saw the opportunity and didn't wait around. Got up alongside, and Wiebelhaus thinking big picture here with the teammate again, who's having to think about the championship. Meanwhile, battle at the front of the field in TCR. How about this? LP Montour has tracked down Bryson Morris, has been able to get alongside on a couple of occasions, but not able to complete that move. And Stephen Clemens also right there. This trio breaking away from the rest of the TCR pack.
Multicoloured 33 car then leads it out. 23 at the front of the field, 33 at TCR. LP Montour in that cartoon-like livery. I really do like that. We've been seeing that all season. Then the dark grey car behind them is the Seat Leon, or should I say the Cupra Leon, my apologies. Stephen Clemens just dropping away a car's length or so. Will he get a better run? Then the silver and blue Lincoln Molly car is Sam Baker for Baker Racing. That's the 52 Audi. 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 in TCR. Down the back straight now. LP Montour has been driving impeccably. Goes to the inside as they go to the top of the hill. Will he get that inside line through 14? It turns to the outside as they go over the top of the rise. Not sure he got that done there, if I'm honest, as the GS Fields stream past the Ford Racing Global Broadcast Centre, the start-finish line, to start another lap there, 4th.
It looked like Morris was able to hang on despite the fierce challenge from Montour, but the Honda in a straight line. Looks like it might have the legs. Trouble, though, down in turn 1.
Aston Martin and one of the Porsches involved in that. It's David Hampton in the Circle H Racing. Now, who was he close to? I think it was the VRC Dan Aman car that was in there. The 14 car is the one with the big smiley face on the side. It was indeed. They went off in sympathy. Dan Aman went off first, and David Hampton, possibly with a bit of target fixation on the back of that GT4 Club Sport, just followed them off. They were very fortunate there to get both of them get back on, Ryan. I did notice a bit of dust being kicked up there as they went back on. My, how that's changed so quickly in the last day and a half.
Yeah, no kidding. With the amount of rain we've had, there's been nary a figment of dust to find around this track over the last 24 hours or so. But it must be drying out here slightly. And for Dan Ammon there, he had a big crash in the VP Challenge race earlier today. Great to see that he was cleared and able to take the start here, but he's already been through the wars today and still has another 40 or 30 odd minutes of drive time to get done before his day is through here in Pilot Challenge.
Okay, so we've got things relatively settled at the front of the field. Let's go down to the pit lane and a BDO pit lane report. Arjuna Kankapati has Carl Whitmer.
And the first thing I want to do with this Montreal Motorsports Group team is turn the clock back to Road America when there was lots of pace. You started up front, but with the rain, a little bit of unexpected conditions, LP Montour caught out on track slightly with some braking stuff, and I heard there was some talk about brake pad material potentially being a factor there.
Yeah, that was a tough race. You know, it was a learning curve for us. We had never driven this car in the wet, and the brake pads that we have are really good. These PFCs are incredible in the dry and the heat, but once there's a cooling temperature, like out of the window, they become ice pedals. So we had a really hard time trying to figure out the ABS setting and brake bias, proportioners. But once we dialed it in, off we went, and this weekend in FP1, we really did a full ABS sweep and tuned in the system.
Got some actual running in the wet, so that's good. You and I talked pre-race, 57 minutes on fuel. Have you figured out if there's any fuel saving to be done, or is it maximum attack as you think about the championship as well?
Yeah, 3 races to go. It's absolute maximum attack. We got the car, we got the team, we got the teammate. We're going to go for it. 57 minutes. I mean, I'm not praying for a yellow. I'm not praying for anything, but we're just going to send it.
Is it possible to pass here, or is it difficult?
Oh, it's possible to pass anywhere, any track. Come on, it's TCRs. Yeah, we'll figure it out. These guys are good, and they're respectful. We'll pick our spots.
Run well.
Thank you.
Arjuna Kankapati with that BDO pit lane report. I love Carl, he's fantastic. Just adding an extra bit of colour and a bit of extra flavour to an already rich mix that we have here in IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. News of an early penalty, Ryan, coming through for Scott Thompson, the LMP Motorsport number 64 Mustang. It's not been their weekend so far, has it? They are struggling with a variety of issues, and now they're going to get a drive-through.
Was it 6 or was it 4? My screen says 4, which would be Hunter Yaney in the Medusa
Oh, my
Motorsports
apologies.
Aston.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
But regardless, it was for a false start, so that typically means getting out of column before the start-finish line on the initial start, and that means that Hunter will have to forfeit 20th position with that drive-through penalty. Definitely a frustrating one for them. They had a miserable weekend at Road America and really just wanted to have a nice clean run here today, and unfortunately that's not off to a great start.
Lee Jordan is back at home in the UK. He says, remember my wife and children were out earlier on. She's back, but she hasn't asked why I'm still watching. I might be pushing my luck here. Okay, Lee, your secret's safe with us. Tell us your wife's name as well, and which part. I presume you're in the UK if you're saying evening. It's almost 7:30 in the UK, early afternoon here on the Eastern time zone. Great battles going on right through the field, as always. Dan Ammon, David Hampton, and then the TCR field all line astern going up the hill. Meantime, in second place, Hannah Greenmeyer now with a bit of clean road in front of her. She's pulled out nearly 3 seconds on Finn Wiebelhaus for Cubby McAleer and the Ford Mustang. Doesn't have to be pulling up tree stumps here, Finn. He's just got to keep it clean, keep it on the lead lap, parachuted into that team with the departure of the previous driver, Nate Cicero. Not easy for that young man, learning an awful lot. Caio Chavez just 2/10 behind Fablehouse now. So again, that is something that Finn's going to have to keep an eye on. Goes through turn 3, NASCAR corner, into the left hook at turn 4. Very easy to get on the wrong part of the circuit here. You can't take the exact racing line. You've got to compromise some of these corners because they come up so quickly that it becomes almost like a ski slalom. If you get out of rhythm in the early part of these complex 2, 3, 4 corners, then any slight error going through the first part is magnified and magnified and magnified, Ryan, until you're miles off the racing line by the time you get through to where Finn is right now at South Bend, and he's handled that and the pressure from behind from Caio Chavez very nicely indeed.
The analogy to slalom skiing is a good one. Our media colleague Calvin Fish always talks about that as trying to make it through the gates on your way up that hill, through the climbing S's there. And I think from our onboard look we had a moment ago, Caio Chavez might have clipped one of those gates a little bit, dropped the wheels off to the inside. That's what we needed to see to prove that, yeah, it must have dried out away from the racetrack, because I think earlier this morning he might have gone for a wild ride there with the moisture on the grass, but was able to survive that moment, put his head back down, and is back off in pursuit of that Ford Mustang. Chavez, by the way, has the benefit of having been on track for a race already today. He's one of a couple of drivers doing double duty between Pilot Challenge and VP Challenge.
Off the track for Ibiza Farm Motorsports and the number 44, Moisey Areski and Tyler Hoffman, I think, in the Toyota was that ahead of him, who went off as well in the number 53. And Moisey's still off the circuit at the bottom of the hill. Has he got steering damage? He hasn't been able to get back onto the outside of turn number 17. He'd be desperately wanting to get back on, get across the track. It was indeed the Kingpin car with exhaust pipe hanging down at the back of that machine and scraping the ground. That car will come into the pits looking somewhat unsteady. Looks like a sailor on shore leave trying to get back to the ship. And Aretsky has stopped on the outside of turn 17. I don't think he's dead stick there. I think he's waiting for the gap in the traffic to try and get across the track and into the pit lane. But I'm not sure, having stopped, whether he's got the momentum now to get back on over that damp grass. Yeah, there was side-to-side contact and wheels turned there from both of them. I'll be surprised if they didn't get damage. In fact, right front suspension damage confirmed now on the Toyota. It was a pass for position, and there was substantial side-to-side contact, but they were turning through the top of the roller coaster. Big suspension, left rear and right rear and right front suspension damage for that Kingpin car. Both of those cars now in the pit lane. Arjuna Kankapati with a BDO pit lane report.
And the Kingpin crew trying to get to work, but John, not particularly quick. First process, priority for them in the process was to evaluate the damage. I also saw the Go Racing Cooper, the 77, slip down on towards pit lane, maybe thinking they could use this caution, a potential caution, to time out some strategy. There's lots of crews on the pit wall, potentially expecting the safety car to come out.
Straight behind the wall for the Ibiza Farm car, and I'm not even sure that Moisey can get enough lock on to get it behind the wall. This, moderately speaking, has championship implications. The Ibiza Farm team have had a fast car all year, but they've struggled to qualify inside the top 10. When they do, they've been able to convert that, Ryan. But once again here, they were down in the mid-teens, weren't they, for qualification. And it must be such a frustration, because that car is quick in race trim.
Well, it has been this year. They've had a pretty good season. They definitely are a championship contender, or they were prior to this issue here for Moisey. 2 wins this season, Sebring and Mid-Ohio. They had a stretch of 5 straight top 10 finishes from Sebring through CTMP, and were in position to have another one at Road America, but a penalty late dropped them down to 19th. And consequently, they came into this weekend 110 points out of the championship lead. This drops them to the back of this 29-car field in GS, and unless there is a lot of attrition for their rivals, this puts them in a whole heap of trouble in terms of that title fight the rest of the way. Only 2 races still to go.
Yeah, Moisey's got the car behind the wall and back to the team. They'll get that car fixed. I suspect it's a steering arm, maybe a lower suspension arm, because it was side-to-side contact. There's a big black donut just behind the driver's door on the car. And I think Moisey actually is having a wee bit of trouble getting the door opened there. So it might have been a slightly bigger side-to-side contact than I thought. We'll have a look at that and try and get him back out. Why would they try and get him back out? He's dropped down to the bottom of the field because you never know who else might have problems. And even if you drop 8 or 10 laps, if you can grab a few points and some of your competitors struggle, you might grab points back on them. I'll get to the battle for 3rd place in a moment, but I just want to check in with Arjuna in the BDO pit lane reports about those 2 cars. Suspension and steering for both of them, Arjuna?
I quickly checked in, John, with the Ibiza Farm Motorsports team, and they did confirm some steering damage, but not exactly sure what it was, so they will go behind the wall and try and get it fixed. And I think, like you were saying, with where they sit in the championship, they will be back out if they can get that car repaired and salvage any points that they can. See if I can get you an update on the Kingpin Toyota as well.
Let's go to the southern end of the racetrack and pick up the battle for 3rd position, which is now 6 cars. 3rd is the newbie, Finn Wiebelhaus from Cumby Michelin Racing. That Ford has got pace from the centre of the corner out, and Finn is using that to his advantage. The good news is that Caio Chavez behind him, he does seem to be able to close at various parts, and certainly on the brakes. Well, he's got another Mustang right behind him with Paul Holton behind the wheel, the Team TGM number 46. That's the white, blue and orange, the chrome blue. Beautiful colour scheme there. And that means Caio comes under threat on the longer straights, which is where they are now on the run down to the start-finish and down towards turn number 1, the horseshoe. Just, oh, there's a conflagration at the oak tree, and again it's one of the GT4 Porsches. It's the same one. It's Dan Amann again, VRC Motorsport Group, and this time it was a whole flock of TCRs that had to avoid him. They were having their own battle, and Montour's car, JP Montour's car, nails the back of Amann. Now here's the first test for race control, Ryan. And there's damage to rear suspension on Amann's car, and at the top of the hill, his right rear suspension's broken. He'll do well to get that in, and there's a huge incident behind him, and that is going to be the TGM car as well, Ted Giovannis, and the number 96 as well. That is the Hyundai. This will be a full course yellow, I'm sure. Excuse me, the 98, my apologies. Maddie Oust was in 9th position. That all came about because of contact on the left rear of that Porsche. And this, as I say, is going to be the first test for race control. And their new way of officiating that they've been talking about this week to the press, benefit of the doubt, etc., etc. They have got a huge amount.
I knew about Bristol, but
of
Charlotte
information. And that was all in avoidance of that number 91 car, was it not? Let's go down to the pit lane. Arjuna, full course yellow, and both the Preston Brown and Dan Amann machines have come into a closed pit. What's going on down there?
It's a left front puncture, excuse me, John, for the number 76. Remember, 2nd in the points for DuPont and Brown. So that is very frustrating for them. I also saw the 64 missing the side skirts on the right-hand side, heading down towards their box also for emergency service. And while the VRC crew slowly get to work just on the right rear right now, John, I can update you that the Kingpin Toyota has gone behind the wall. So as much as we were saying that it was a track where we didn't expect cautions, it has been an action-packed start to this race.
21, call it 22 minutes elapsed, Ryan, so still not within the window to change your driver. Emergency service being attended to on that number 64 Ted Giovanni's car. It was a left front tyre. They'll pull the guard out from around the Michelin tyre. There's still 2 cars out on the circuit that need covering off. Who are the winners and losers here? Well, certainly JP Montour will not be happy, but then again, I suspect that Danaman will not be happy at getting punted from the rear by that car, Ryan.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what race control will need to look at. Then there was the subsequent incident as well with Matty Oust, whose car is still stuck by the side of the road. It looks like we'll need to tow back to the pit lane. That could effectively eliminate an early championship contender from the title fight. She and Mark Wilkins had a really strong start to the year, but the last couple of rounds haven't gone their way, and this is a continuation of that unfortunate trend. For Montour, I mean, if a penalty were to come, and it's not our place to say whether or not it will be, but we'll wait for that word. But I think he would have preferred, if it were to have been a penalty, not to have this yellow, which bunches everybody up, and now he would have to come in on the subsequent restart. It's also worth noting that since we're within the first half hour of the race, this is a short yellow by rule, so the pits are not going to open, and anybody wanting to play the strategy game, they can't do it yet because of where we stand in the race. That's a new regulation that came online this year.
The pits won't open whilst we're under yellow.
Correct.
And behind the safety car. As soon as it goes back green again, you can take your green flag stop. Arjuna, our BDO pit lane reporter, I am looking here, and about a minute, maybe a little bit more actually, a couple of minutes before that yellow came out, did the number 77 Eddie Gore car come into the pits? And if so, they were only in for 44 seconds. I don't think that was a penalty. Did they just top that car off?
You are correct, John. They saw the potential with that first incident for the safety car, came in and topped off on their fuel, and I think they're a team that now sits in a really good spot to minimize the amount of time they're stationary the second time back down pit lane, when Celso Neto will jump into the car, who, John, celebrating his 22nd birthday today.
22nd, oh my goodness, he's a baby. Let me give you the rundown of where people are. Pits will not open, but we will split the field. In fact, that's already happened. Well done. Very good indeed. Those incidents are under review. So it's still our pole-sitting Toyota behind the Ford Mustang Dark Horse safety car. So that's Jackson Bell. Hannah Greenmeyer battled her way to second position ahead of Macumbi McAleer Racing's Finn Wiebelhaus. This gives him a little bit of a breather and lets his Michelin tyres cool off a little bit. Caio Chavez for Pan Am Motorsport Toyota in third. Then another Mustang, Team TGM, Paul Holton, old head there, being very sensible. Alan Patton for Car Blanche Aston Martin, the white number 66 in sixth. Dylan McAvern for Turner Motorsport in seventh. Evan Slater in eighth with the number 60 core Motorsport Mustang. Rafa Racing's Varun Choksi in ninth, and Chris Miller for the Unitronic Porsche in 10th position. Just having a look down to see what happened. Bryce Ward has not made up any ground at all. He's got ahead of Sam Tan and Vin Barletta, but he's still just at the bottom of the top 20, 19th position down there. And Hunter Yenny came through and did his pit drive-through, so at least he's got that out of the way. In TCR, Steve Clements for Victor Gonzalez Racing in the 99 dark grey Cupra Leon, which seems to be blowing out a little bit of smoke Can't decide whether it is on the overrun or on the downshift of that car. Bryson Morris in second for the 33 Herta Autosport Elantra. Then LP Montour, notwithstanding that he's been looked at for the incident at Oaktree. And again, we'll be interested to see how that is viewed, and if there is a penalty coming, what that penalty will be from race control. Sam Baker in fourth position in the number 52 Baker Racing Audi. Rocco Pasquarella in the KMW Honda is in fifth in TCR, that is the number 5 car. Then Dean Baker for Baker Racing in sixth. Seventh, Dr. William Talley in the Victor Gonzalez Racing Leon, it's the number 21 car. Riley Pegram for Honda in the 72 in eighth. Ninth, Don Yount, welcome back to the series, in the RVA Graphics Motorsport Group Audi, the number 31 car. Eddie Gore in 10th, Preston Brown in 11th. Behind that, there's a couple of cars. In fact, there's 4 cars in the pits. VRC's Porsche number 91, the Dan Amann car. Team TGM, Ted Giovannis in the 64 Mustang. Tyler Hoffman, Kingpin Racing's Toyota Supra. Moise Oretsky, Ibiza Farm Motorsport McLaren. And Lance Bergstein actually didn't start, I've just seen now, in the number 18 Hyundai. It had its problems earlier on today. We said the 4-hour clock was ticking when it was pushed into the wall by the number 5 of Rocco Pasquarella during qualifying, wasn't it, on the back straight. Matty Oust stopped out on the circuit as well, still being recovered in that number 98. That's how it stands. We have had 29 minutes and we are coming back, I think, to green flag. Yes, we are. Green flag is in the air, so 91 minutes remaining. A very good start by the top two. Finn Webelhaus perhaps caught a little bit unawares there, but he wasn't under pressure anyway. It's I think it's the Car Blanche Alan Patton car down the inside. Yes, it is, of the Horseshoe at turn 1, trying to make up positions from 6th on Paul Holton and Caio Chavez. He hasn't managed to do that. He's still in behind them, and he's under pressure now from Turner Motorsport and the BMW, and Evan Slater for Core Motorsport. TCR restarted, Clements, Morris, Montour, Baker, and that's how they still run. But a pretty decent restart for Jackson Bell in the Supra, Ryan.
Yeah, phenomenal, just like he did on the initial start. Scampered off. The difference is he's got a different car behind him, and Hannah Greenmeyer has the target acquired. That Aston looks really hooked up, looks really solid, even on relatively cold tires on this restart, and she started to close in a little bit on Jackson Bell. TCR, you know, big move there, lunge up the inside from the Random Vandals car on the JDC Miller Porsche, and that was aggressive, but he made it work. Quickly, I just wanted to say, in TCR, you're asking who this helps. Rocco Pasquarella, who had to start out back, up to fifth, and now gets the reset. We know that car is fast, was second fastest in qualifying before losing his times. That's a car I've got my eye on.
It was Nicky Hayes that went through and took the position of 10th position from Chris Miller. He's just lost another one to Sean Quinlan. The TCR number 76 Hyundai, Preston Brown, will get a drive-through for running the red light. We've also got 2 penalties for incident responsibility, and JP Montour will have to come through the pits. I think we expected that in the 93 Honda, and it's, now that's interesting, it is the 44 Ibiza Farms Motorsport car who has been given incident responsibility, car up the inside, trying to make that pass on the Supra at the top of the roller coaster. So that's 2 penalties. We will see. There'll be no action, inconclusive, says race control, on the Hyundai number 98 and Ted Giovannis in the 64 car. Kind of understand that. I think that was just in reaction to what was going on ahead, and effectively that's been deemed a racing incident, or they're, say, inconclusive, which makes they haven't got enough evidence, stone cold evidence, to call it one way or the other. So sometimes that does work. It's into the pit lane for that Preston Brown, number 76. I said that was a drive-through. My apologies. It's a stop plus 60 seconds. So that will feel like an age. Meantime, the front of the field, Finn Wiebelhaus in third place. Kaya Chavez, Paul Holton, Alan Patton still sitting in behind them as they come to the roller coaster. And Arjuna can bring us more from the BDO pit lane report.
Finn Wiebelhaus is not the only new driver in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. Ismail Alahi joins the CSM Aston Martin crew as they switch from Porsche into this brand new manufacturer. But Ismail, you're coming off your first VP Challenge win a couple of weeks ago. It was a year and 51 weeks ago that you were at the Skip Barber Racing School, and now you're here at Pilot Challenge. Does this feel a bit surreal?
Yeah, it's unreal to be here. I can't believe I was watching TikToks. Back when I was at Skip Barber, I was like, oh my God, one day I'll do a driver change. And now I'm about to get ready to get on the wall, and it's just, I can't believe I'm here with my coach, Morgan, who I met literally at that school. It's just unreal.
You talked about driver changes. How's the practice been going? Because you're about to do your first one.
Yeah, you know, in this sim, you don't have belts, or at least mine doesn't, so it's not as hard as it is in real life, but we got it down to a science now. Now I'm confident to go ahead and do it.
Let's talk about CSM switching from Porsche to Aston Martin. How's that process been like as you tested and gotten up to speed?
Yeah, you know, this is the second race car I've ever driven, so it was definitely new to us, but we honestly threw whatever we thought would work in Canada, and it ended up working. I mean, it was just amazing, and even now, we're pretty locked into what the package that we have.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Just keeping an eye on that number 99 Victor Gonzalez Racing team. Now the leader in TCR for Stephen Clemens. And it's on the downshift blip on the paddle shift, and then on the overrun that there's some oily smoke coming out of that. It's white smoke, some black smoke, so that says to me that that is, I think that's a turbo seal on its way out. Hopefully it'll last the next hour and a half. First half hour in the books, right up behind Scott Thompson for LAP Motorsport, and he's got his mirrors full of the second place Bryson Morris. And well, I think we probably anticipated this, Brian, but championship implications for what I'm about to say next. The number 44 Beatha Farm Motorsport McLaren has officially retired.
Yeah, that is, unfortunately, we probably did see the writing on the wall with that one, with the extent of the damage to that car, and it's now back-to-back results of 19th or worse for Uretsky and Cooper, who were, 10-15 minutes away from maybe having the championship lead leaving Road America. Big penalty for them late in that race, cost them dearly. They came in trailing by 110 points, and now it looks like it's a pretty much minimal point scoring day for them. They should be last when it's all said and done in the GS class here today. Potentially a shakeup into TCR points. Now, this is said with the caveat that we still have a long way to go in this, an hour and 24 minutes and change, but Mason Filippi and Bryson Morris have to be loving the way that this has started. They sit in second place right now. Second in points, that's Brown and DuPont, they're 11th. Third in points, Whitmer and Montour had that drive-through, they're in 10th. Bergstein and Gottsacker were behind them coming in. They're not even starting this race because of the damage in qualifying this morning. Wilkins and Aust were 6th coming in. They're 12th right now. So only of the front runners, Pasquarella and Lewis is having a good day alongside Morris and Filippi. This could be a huge, huge day for them in the pursuit of the title.
And as you say, the caveat is that there's plenty of racing to go.
Oh, yeah.
But if they watch their P's and Q's here, then this could be a bit of a banner day for them. So as they stand, 270, call that 300 points now to the good for Morris and Filippi ahead of DuPont and Brown. Another 100 points further back, Lewis and Pasquarella, Whitmer and Montour, another 40 points back, 440 points off the 33 car, which leads the championship, sitting in second at the moment. It doesn't need to win this race right now. It doesn't need to win this race. They've got to drive smart. Let's go back down to our BDO pit lane. and our reporter down there is Arjuna with more on that early argy-bargy.
Well, you're also watching, John, the smoke out of that Victor Gonzalez Racing number 99, and Victor Gonzalez himself has given me a quick update that you shouldn't worry. That's just the engine map in the Cupra and how it's kind of putting out the power. So they're very happy. And I talked to Victor yesterday in what has been a difficult year, John, and he said, fingers crossed, I'll see you at the checkered flag. And we're talking down in Victory Lane.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's on the downshift, so it's on the auto blip in the downshift and then on the overrun. So maybe it's just extra fuel or they've overfilled the oil. Finn Barlett has just gone off around the outside of the horseshoe, and he's lost a couple of positions in class to Aurora Strauss and Scott Thompson for Murillo, Mercedes-AMG and LAP Ford Mustang. And also there was, again, a herd of TCRs. He was trying to carve his way through them and just outbrake himself. But once again, Ryan, got to say, the dust that's been cut up there and thrown up there by the yellow and blue Turner Motorsport number 96 BMW, completely at odds to what we even saw this morning in the Mustang Challenge race. It looked like the British Rallycross Grand Prix at one stage. Some of the cars had so much mud on them.
Oh, yeah, completely a change in conditions, and I think that's well received. This place is hard enough to drive when you don't have the risk of dropping a wheel in wet grass and then going for a wild ride. I was talking with Brian Till earlier during VP Challenge coverage, and he said the way that this track punishes you when the grass is wet, you almost have to approach it as if it were a street course and just pretend that grass is a wall, because it might as well be. If you end up on that wet grass, you're probably going to find a wall. So that seems to have been alleviated somewhat as the battle here is heating up for the final step of the podium. Chavez looking pretty aggressive, and Paul Holton now also closing in, and he's bringing some friends along for the ride.
Being the number 60 of Evan Slater and Dylan McAvern, it's turn 3 again, which is the place most likely, and hung out to the outside. Can Finn hang on? He's held on to one place, then the side-by-side contact with the Caio Chavez car. Finn had his elbows out there. Yeah, very good. Very good. I think he's going to be all right with that. He gave racing room on the inside, and then he's basically got the edge of the track. He can't go any further than that as he's through on the outside of the corner. Bo Barfield saying in that meeting with press earlier on this week, when asked about, you know, who has the corner and how far behind do you have the corner, who owns the corner, and Bo, and I love this quote, said, no driver owns the corner, the track owner owns the corner, and ultimately you've got a race thinking about what's going on around you. And at the moment, Finn Wiebelhaus holds third position, which means that his teammate Robert Noriega is 150 points to the good over the Luca Marsden and McAvern number 95 Turner Motorsport car. And the 27, Austin Kreitz and Stephen McAlee, number 27, is another 70 points further back, another 40 points away from that, so 260 away from the lead. Trent Nestep and his teammate as well. That was certainly robust coming through the horseshoe last time around, as Dylan McAvern peels into the pit lane, and Austin Kreitz for Auto Technic Racing follows him round. Looked like the Toyota had got through there from Chavez, but it was a cracking move round the outside by Finn Wiebelhaus. I think that's clean. Pit stops are starting right on the 40 minutes. Those that haven't been in the pit lane, they can't do that driver change now. Arjuna.
And maybe a surprise, John, that we see the 95 in, taking Dylan McAvern out and putting Luca Mars in. Slightly off strategy. Two drivers we often think are pretty equal on pace, but clearly thinking that track position from 7th, there's something to find. Also rumbling down pit lane, the Circle H number 14 Aston Martin. Off and away goes Luca Mars as he's strapped into that car. And John, we know that the GS cars can't go more than about 50-odd minutes on fuel, but guaranteed one more stop from here.
what's we got left? An hour and 18. You split that down the minute, that could be 40 minutes, couldn't it? 40, 40 and 40, Ryan. And there will be teams who might be working to that.
I think that's what they're thinking here. Arjuna had the report at the very beginning of the show that GS cars, basically, unless the whole first stint was under yellow, there was no way they were going to do this in one stop. So these teams are coming in as soon as the window opens. That then sets them up to do a couple of things. One, it should put them out, if they timed it right, without too many cars around them. So maybe then you put in a driver who can put in some fast laps, and they can use this undercut strategy to try and gain some track position that way. And it also positions them to potentially take advantage of a yellow further down the road. I'm curious to see how long the leaders stay out here at this stage, John, knowing that there's really no one likely to attempt a single stop strategy. Everyone in GS pretty well locked into 2 stops.
No pole position this time around for the heart of Hannah's, but the Aston Martin comes in, and Hannah Greenmeyer is going to jump out. Hannah Grisham going to get strapped into the Aston Martin. Also into pit lane, John, the number 17, the Unitronic JDC Miller Porsche, and the only carbon Peregrine BMW, the 37 in pit lane. Remember, the 39 had a big incident at Road America, and we'll see that car back in action at Indianapolis. Great pit stop, though, from the heart of racing as they top that car up with all the fuel it can carry and send it back out onto track.
It's been a great couple of races for the heart of Hannah's, or the Hannah's of racing, as we've been calling them. The Aston Martin showing itself to be definitely competitive over a single stint and certainly a single lap. They're not necessarily had the brakes in the races. Does that change today? Now here's some news from behind the wall. The Team TGM car is back. Now let's see if that gets back out on to the racetrack. That was involved in that kerfuffle early on when there was an incident ahead. Yeah, Ted Giovannis has taken that car back out onto the track, lost 9 laps to the leaders, but he'll be out there just trying to get some points and enjoy himself for the final hour and 16 minutes of race. I'll make a bold prediction now. I am going to say that I will be surprised if Ted Giovannis finishes last in GS. In fact, no, he won't. And in fact, I've just realised another reason that he's gone out is because the number 91 VRC Motorsport Group Porsche is his only other competition in the Bronze Cup, and he's already got past that car of Dan Aman and the VRC Motorsports Group. So that's the first part. How much further up GS can he get? He's not going to finish last today. Ryan.
Well, that is what they'll be thinking about, trying to maximize that car, though, looking very second-hand here, missing some body work, certainly at the back of that car. We got a penalty, by the way, in this most recent round of pit stops. Unitronic JDC Miller Motorsports, their Porsche was found to have driven over a hose, tool, part, and or person. Hopefully it wasn't the person, just a hose, tool, or part in the pit box, and that will result in a drive-through penalty for that car.
It's going to be a mechanical black flag for Ted Giovannis. They have tried to tape on the right-hand side door to that Mustang that took the brunt of the incidents. Heard Arjuna telling us that the cover for the sill underneath there had been forcibly removed in that accident. You can see that moving, and it split the tape completely. I think the hinge has gone there now as well. Many years ago, I was fortunate enough to drive a Chevron B8 in the Silverstone Classic, little sports car from the 1970s with a BMW 2-litre engine and the bright yellow former JCB sponsored car, which actually is the only B8 with a 2-litre that ever competed at Le Mans. And the driver and the passenger door started to do that. But that was nothing to do with the hinges, that was just the aerodynamics at the hanger straight at about 140 miles an hour. It just started to rattle a little bit at the top of the window frame. It was off-putting for the first couple of times, and you just got used to it. into the pit lane for that car. They'll do another change of tyres. Now, pit stop time also for the leader, the Koch Copland Motorsport Toyota, and they've come in 40, let's call that 46 minutes, Ryan, so a little bit further into the race. All new sticker Michelins, and the driver change done as well, and that car down and away. So inheriting the lead now, by my reckoning, although still owing us a pit stop, will be Finn Webelhaus for Michelin Racing. Is that right? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it looks like the top 11 have not pitted yet in GS. I think that pit stop there from the Koch Copeland team, that was in reaction to the lap times that those that had pitted were setting. And I think we've seen this play out here in a swap of position, because it's now Hannah Grisham ahead of the Supra. That undercut seems to be working, because those that had put fresh tires on were lapping a second a lap or more faster. And even with the big lead that the Supra had going into this pit cycle, a relatively big lead at least, the undercut seems to have been enough to put Heart of Racing up ahead, and I think others, including Turner, that was quick to go on that strategy, are set to benefit. Those that have stayed out, they're seeing this now, and they're reacting by coming to the pits too.
Very close call for Finn Webelhaus as he was coming into the pits out of turn 17. He got a big push from behind by Evan Slater in the Ford Mustang, and Finn did an outstanding job to keep that 13 MMR Mustang out of the wall. Following him in, Pan Am Motorsport and Rafa Racing, and Arjuna has this BDO pit lane report.
I'm watching as Finn Webelhaus straps Robert Noaker in, and I think Finn's done an admirable job stepping into a championship hunt, supporting Robert Noaker and Macumbi Racing. Maybe not the fastest in that first stint, but doing just enough to hold on to that crucial track position. Relatively lethargic pit stop to put the right front on, but finally all four tires will be put onto that Mustang. The air jack will get released. And finally, Finn Webelhaus, full of energy, sends the Macumbi Mustang off and away.
He's going to rejoin behind the number 54. No, he's not actually. Got out ahead of the 54. Caio Chavez brought that car into the Supra. Just had a little off grass cutting moment down at turn 1. Of course it was turn 1 for, who was it? It was Dean Baker in the Baker Racing number 56 car. Now, I wonder if race control might look at that, actually, for Evan Slater, now leading the race, because he made prolonged and sustained contact in the back of the MMR car. Ultimately, nothing happened, but he certainly didn't lift off as that car was heading to the pit lane and pitched the car sideways. It was only Finn's fast hands and reflexes that kept that championship leading car out of the wall. Evan Slater then leads by 0.8 of a second. Paul Holton for Team GM, Harrison Goodman a minute further back. I don't think it's quite that far. Wait till they come round and pull in. Bryce Ward and Gordon Scully have come in from what is 6th and 7th at the moment to make their first stop. Hey, do you know what? They've got to 50 minutes there with that bit of yellow early on. I mean, we're not at half distance yet, but ... How much further can Evan Slater and Paul Holton get into this race? Those are the two, yeah. Harrison Goodman 13, Collar 14 seconds further back. So Bryce is out, Gordon is out. Where's our leaders? And Evan Slater just going up to Oak Tree. We are well into the pit stop cycle with 51 minutes gone. Let's go down for a BDO pit lane report and welcome to the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. The man who came in the lead and somehow managed to keep the car out of the wall, Finn Fiebelhaus.
Out of the car, but now chugging down some water in what is increasingly becoming a warm afternoon. Finn, your first taste of racing here in IMSA, how was it?
Quite rough, I must say. Yeah, we're just lacking pace. Hopefully Robert picks up some pace. I honestly was a bit off. Yeah, just couldn't couldn't follow the other guys in front, and I was then trying just to keep track position, which I did. But it was tough with the guys out there. I mean, they were trying everything to get past me. Yeah, I guess I lost some painting on my car, but in the end, good racing, was fun. Yeah, and let's see where we end up.
I'm curious, I know that coming to America, part of the conversation will be about some of the differences on track. You had a conversation, I'm sure, with race control. Was there much that you had to adjust in your approach on track?
Not really. I mean, DTM, it's kind of tough racing as well. So yeah, I guess we're kind of fair now. It's nearly same rules. So yeah, of course a bit of adapting, but was quite the same racing as DTM, so it was good fun.
You talk about DTM, but you got to push into the pit lane. What was that like as you tried to get down to pit speed limit?
Yeah, I mean, before I tried to pit, I got hit from the Mustang behind, so it was like steering lock and had to really catch the car, which was less than ideal. So yeah, I was close to really win it because I got hit from behind, but luckily I could save it, and yeah, just box.
Thanks, Finn.
Thanks.
That might be a candidate, an early candidate there, Ryan, for Michelin moment of the race in GS. That is the championship leading car, a young driver, new, experienced, yes, and experienced at a high level, but not here in IMSA, as he said. And I think he's run himself down a little bit there. He did a cracking job in that first 50 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think he was excellent in that stint. Lamenting a little bit his relative lack of pace, but we really stress relative. That was only to maybe one or two cars, and he did well to hang on to the track position. The trouble is that MMR team has lost some track position here in the pit stop shuffles. The undercut, as I mentioned, seems to be quite powerful, and Turner Motorsport in particular has used this to their advantage. Remember, this 95 car is in the championship hunt, trying to catch the MMR Mustang that Finn Fiebelhaus was just in. And the undercut, they came in really at the first opportunity as soon as the minimum drive time had expired, and that has allowed this 95 car to jump up the order. And in terms of cars that have pitted already, they are now in third and actually sit one position ahead of the car they're chasing in the championship. So that was a pretty big moment in the season-long perspective of things, and Turner, as we've come to expect, pretty adept with their strategy up on the pit wall.
Yeah, understood. It gets worse for the number 57 AMG, Dan Arrow in that car now, but there were too many people over the wall for the AMG team, and that will be a drive-through for Dan. That's another potential championship contender who may just be dropping away from contention. This is the time of the year, Ryan, isn't it, when we whittle people down to maybe just a couple of contenders.
Yeah, certainly is. You know, and we thought maybe a big moment in the season could have been that piece of curbing coming up at Watkins Glen and knocking McAvert and Mars in the Turner car out of a strong position. That would have seen them extend their championship lead. Instead, they fell way back, and then they've had a couple other disappointing runs since then, not really of their making, but starting to bounce back again, fighting their way back into the picture. They came in not that far out. I think it was 110 points or thereabouts outside of the lead, and now they've done what they've needed to do relative to the car they're chasing for the title to get ahead. They have 63 minutes to try and keep it there, though, to stay close and avoid effective elimination. I'm not sure we can say totally that Bryce Ward is eliminated. Michael Cooper, Moisey Uretsky, same story, but it's going to be very difficult for them to come back, especially when Nowaker, now McAvert and Mars, to a degree, Kreins and McAleer are having decent days here today. And Patton and Estive, too. Remember, the winners out at Road America. That was a big win for the Car Blanche team, their first as a team at IMSA. Very quietly, they're sneaking into this conversation, too, and they're having another solid day here today.
As we head to half distance and the second hour, let's go down for another BDO pit lane report. Arjuna, which team have you plotted up next to now?
With our pole sitter, Jackson Bell, 1 for 1 in IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. Your first qualifying of the season. We didn't get a chance to talk to you about the lap. How was it?
Yeah, qualifying lap was mega. Super fun to just rip sticker tires, low fuel, and a Toyota Supra around this pretty demanding racetrack. So qualifying lap was great. Team did a mega job getting the car together and giving us a really fast package. So Ford's out there now doing a great job, and hope to keep it up front.
It was half a second quicker, so I think you're maybe underplaying the potential that you had on that lap. Let's talk about the race. I know CTMP didn't go quite according to plan. The season hasn't gone according to plan. What are you and Ford looking to learn in these last 3 races heading into 2027?
Yeah, just trying to gather as much data as we can and still get good results while we're doing it. So we've got 2 fast drivers, got a really fast Toyota Supra, and really fast guys in the pits. So look forward to finishing out the year strong.
You prefer starting or finishing the race?
I'm good with either way.
Never complain when you're behind the wheel. Thanks, Jackson.
Paul Alton then, the last of the GS cars to pit. We've got 3 TCR cars still to pit as well. We haven't reached the hour mark, but a number of the TCR cars have, I'm seeing that, who has pitted? No, the top 7 in TCR have not pitted yet, so they are trying to go another couple of minutes or thereabouts and get somewhere close to a full 60 minutes under the Michelin tyres. It's Stephen Clements who leads in the dark grey number 99. Meantime, further down the field, Riley Pegram for Pegram Racing in 4th position. The Stars and Stripes number 72 goes to complete another lap. Dr. William Talley Will Talley pulls into the pits, so does Dean Baker. So these are the highest ranking cars that have pulled into the pits, and that means LP Montour will come back up the field eventually. There's a number of people who've pulled in to the pits there, but the leaders, the top 3, Victor Gonzalez Racing, Brian Herter, Autosport, KMW, have all stayed out. Right on half distance, Paul Holden has yet to stop for the Ford Mustang of Team TGM. Now, in fairness, we did have a 8.5 minute or thereabouts yellow flag period, but I have to say, Ryan, I am very, very impressed at the field mileage from that Ford Mustang from Paul Holden.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as you were running through the order here. The fact that they've reached the hour mark, even with the assistance of that yellow, that seems noteworthy. That car just now dipping into the pits and will relinquish the lead. But what that tells me is they're 1 yellow away from being good to go to the end from here, because they were able to do it on a relatively short yellow to get to this point. And nobody else in GS was brave enough to try, but this is a team that's out of the championship hunt. They've had a dismal year, with the exception of a runner-up result the last time out, which was much needed and much deserved, but they have nothing to lose, so why not roll the dice? That's going to be one to keep an eye on.
They've come into the pits now, as had the leader in TCR, the darker grey Cupra. Stephen Clements, the American driver, jumps out. Tyler Gonzalez, the Spanish driver, gets in. Arjuna is watching over everything going on in the pit lane.
It's a relatively good pit stop from Victor Gonzalez Racing, John, but as we watch one Cupra running high, the other Cupra that we thought was going to benefit from the timing of the caution, the number 77, has been in pit lane for a while and is now down a couple of laps. Here comes the air jack away for Victor Gonzalez Racing. Last bit of fuel pumped in and off and away Tyler Gonzalez goes.
Bryson Morris has stayed out for Hyundai and for Brian Hurd at Autosport with Curb and Agajanian when he comes in. In fact, actually, if he doesn't come in shortly, he might be passed on the track by Hannah Grisham. That Harter Racing team, here's another potential for Michelin moment of the race. We mentioned Finn Wiebelhaus keeping the car out the wall coming in. What about the moments of decision-making for Heart of Racing? 2.3 seconds their lead now over Ford Caution, the Caution Copeland Motorsport Toyota, Ryan, and there is the pass. That is the pass for the lead of the race, coming up to the top of the roller coaster. The Hyundai due in any time soon, but that was literally a pass for the lead. GS on TCR, but great strategy and great execution so far from Harter Racing.
Yeah, they've been fantastic. So let's go back to the initial start where Hannah Greenmeyer was able to jump one position at the very start, then raced her way up to second place. Then that team was on the cutting edge of that early pit stop strategy, and that's helped them to get to the lead. But since then, Hannah Grisham's driven away. So it's a combination of nifty strategy, but also some pure pace in that Aston.
Here's the TCR leader into the pit lane. Mason Filippi will switch with his countryman, Brian Morris. They're going through that now. Now, don't worry if things don't look like they're going fast. It's all about the fuel and getting that VP Racing fuel in Arjuna, and they'll want every drop of it with still 57 minutes to go.
Absolutely, they're not the only TCR in pit lane. The number 5 KMW Honda, after starting at the tail end of the field, Rocco Pasquarella has done a great job and will hand over to Tim Lewis, not far away from that number 33 Brian Herder Hyundai, as now just final bits of fuel loaded into the car, smoke billowing from the brakes as they sit there in high temperatures and waiting to get some cool airflow back over them. The 33 rolls off and away first, and it's about 7.5 seconds or so, and oh, the number 5 stalls it. They're going to lose even more time.
33 Hyundai, the multicolored car is out. There goes the Honda on Arjuna's pit mic there. The question for me then at that point is, where was the Victor Gonzalez Racing number 99 car? And the answer is exiting the left hook. They've got themselves back into the lead. Meantime, whilst that was all happening, Dan Aman's got a left front puncture. Dan Arrow on the Tecamet First Horizon BDO number 57 AMG, left front puncture at the worst possible place as he needed that tyre to turn him through the final corner of the run down the hill, turn 17. He's got to back into the pit lane, but that's putting them even further back. That's, I think, now their third time through the pit lane, once for service, once for a penalty, too many people over the wall, and now for additional service. Top him off and make sure he doesn't have to fuel save to the end. That'll be the run there, so they might not be completely out of it. Now, first and second, very tight indeed in TCR. Tyler Gonzalez for Victor Gonzalez Racing ahead in the number 99 car. Right up his tailpipes is a Hyundai, but that is not the Hyundai that matters. That's Denny DuPont, who's just dropped off the lead lap and is trying to get back on the TCR lead lap. And I suspect that Tyler Gonzalez doesn't want to let him through, because that's another Hyundai. He doesn't need to give them any chances. About 6 seconds between Tyler Gonzalez and Mason Filippi in the number 33 multicoloured Brian Herter car. So as the 99 dark grey Cupra goes through the horseshoe, that number 33 crosses the finish line right now. This is going to be a cracking battle in TCR to the end of the race.
Always is, it seems like, in Michelin Pilot Challenge. That, though, strikes me as a big moment in the season. So to have now the DuPont Brown car a lap down, they really need to get back around, if at all possible, get back on the relap and hope to catch a yellow, or else they are really in bad shape in terms of trying to score decent points today. They're 10th at the moment and could do no better than that unless somebody else drops off the lead lap or they're able to get back on the lead lap at some point. And this is another moment where we might be scratching off from our list of potential championship winners another entry. I mean, it's a bit rough to say that they're absolutely out of it running here as they are in the 10th place, but this puts them in a pretty big hole. My spreadsheet of points as they run would have them in a 260-point hole, John, right now, with just a couple of races to go in the season after this. And that then, at that stage, you don't control your own destiny anymore, right? You need some help in the form of misfortune for the car that you're chasing, and maybe some more fortune on top of that as well. So this is a big moment here, I think, in TCR, if it stays the way that it is.
Nice clear road ahead of Hannah Grisham in our leading GS car. She heads up towards Oak Tree Corner. There's quite a big gap between herself and Kenny Reedman in the Baker Racing machine. Gregory Leafouche is pitted, and Thomas Merrill have pitted for Stephen Cameron Racing and Circle H Racing, Ford Mustang and Aston Martin. Arjuna, 52 minutes to go. Are they rolling the dice, or were there problems for that car, those cars? The Mustang, the 19 Stephen Cameron car, is the fastest GS car in the race right now.
And they pitted from 6. I think that's strategic, John. Circle H Racing, they're already a lap down. They've taken the front cover off the car, so I wonder if they're dealing with some issues. But I think we're within the window. And with the undercut clearly being powerful, John, I can tell you on the pit wall, Heart of Racing, Carte Blanche, and a whole bunch of teams ready to react if anything changes in this strategic gambit.
And that's what you were saying, Ryan, that a new set of Michelin tyres, even with a full load of VP Racing fuel, Gregory Leafouche, where's that number 19 dropped out into? He's ahead of a gaggle of cars. Next car up the road from him is a little way up the road, and that's a single TCR car. It's Celso Neto, actually, the Stallion Motorsport car. Then there's 1, 2, 3 of the GS cars, which is Mikey Taylor, Ismail Alehi and Kenny Murillo. Well, all of those 3 drivers are pretty rapid. So, and then there's a huge gap, almost the full length of the front straight. They've dropped him into some decent clear air in that Stephen Cameron Racing car, and if he can put some rapid laps in now, it could change his fortunes. I'm not saying he's going to win the race, but this is where you make up some positions.
It could. That is definitely part of the undercut strategy. The other thing is a full course yellow here. Everybody would be in the window to make it home on another stop, so they would stop under that yellow.
Very good
whereas they've now done their last stop. So I think that's also part of their strategic gambit here. That is assuming they've been able to hang on to the lead lap, and I think they have, because the lap is so long here at VIR that opens up some of these strategy plays that wouldn't be there at a shorter track.
Yeah, I agree. That was the key thing. The 19's just gone through. Yes, they are on the lead lap, even if they are marginal on fuel, and they have to come in under the safety car. They will need far less fuel. And here comes the leader. Here's Heart of Racing, Hannah Grisham, into the pit lane. That is at 70 minutes, so she's not done her 40 minutes yet, I don't think. So I presume she'll stay in the car. Arjuna, is this just fuel, or will there be Michelin tyres?
It's both tires and fuel, and one thing that some of our fans may have noticed is that here in the Aston Martin, they have 2 fuel connections that actually are utilized. One's the regular fuel hose on the pit wall side, but an extra jug gets put on the left side to just make sure all the fuel gets loaded in. As Heart of Hannah's get to work, it's the Carte Blanche Aston Martin that hits its marks. Remember, winners at Road America for Trenton Estep and for Alan Patton. What a pit stop, though, for the Heart of Hannah's. Off they go.
That was 2 tyres only,
yes.
Working side tyres only, the 2 left-hand side Michelins that extra churn on the driver's side, the left-hand side of that car. That is the breather bottle to make sure that all the air is expelled by the VP Racing fuel that is going in from the hose, which is filled from the churn, which is higher up. Now, it can't be any height, otherwise everybody would build 50-foot towers to get the fuel flow quicker. It's also governed by a fuel flow restrictor. That's all part of the balance of performance. Ooh, now, am I seeing just a little bit of damage to the right front of the splitter on that car? It was moving around a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem for Hannah Grisham. 48 minutes remaining when she came out of the pit lane. It's there, it's in the window, Ryan. Is it in the window to go full rich to the end? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know that they'd be willing to tell even Arjuna about that, but I like what the strategy call is here. They've got Hannah in, she's fueled to the end, and they are in a position now where they are covered for any potential full course yellow, and the other front runners are seeing the same thing, and they're coming in as well. By the way, the fact it was a 2-tire stop, not a surprise, because it wasn't a full fill of fuel. They would have spent more time in the pit lane than they needed to had they changed the 4 tires, so I think that's why they went with just the 2.
Turner Motorsport in. It looks like they're doing 2 rear tyres for that. No, it's going to be a 4-tyre stop for the number 95 for Luca Mars. The Toyota number 23 Ford Koch has had left side tyres only, and they're still waiting on the fuel. And they are down and away in the blue and white number 23. But this is costing Turner time, but it will give them extra performance, and through goes Hannah Grisham. She has gone through and beaten out that blue and white number 23. That's the first part of the equation done. Arjuna has been watching the pit stop, and now it's a full pit lane.
I think, John, that was the quickest stop that the 95 crew would have wanted as they put the 4 tires on. A little bit of delay, dropping the cars from the jacks. Right in front of me, the P1 Motor Club Marilla Racing Mercedes is also only getting left side tires. Air jack release, now just packing in that fuel. And as the 96 car fires off and away, the Mercedes will slot in behind.
Battle at the front of TCR getting tasty, as well as Tyler Gonzalez is caught up behind some slower GS cars, including that number 95, Luca Mars, who's just come out of the pit lane. He's dropped down to 17th position in GS. He's getting his Michelins back up to temperature and pressure as he's chasing Clayton Williams in the LAP Motorsport black and red car. This is the part of the circuit going up through the Snake and over the top of the rise into the South Bend, where the TCRs are really very nimble. Still trying to get on the lead lap there as well. Sitting in right behind is that number 76, Denis Dupont Hyundai, and still hasn't been able to get past the class leader of Tyler Gonzalez. And I don't think Tyler is in any frame of mind at all to just wave Denis Dupont by, Ryan.
Nor should he be, because if he can keep that car a lap down, that's one less rival that he's going to have to deal with at the end of this race. In front of those TCR cars, though, that GS battle, this is a big moment, I think, for the Turner car, because they are in some traffic. The straightaway speed of the Mustang meant that the BMW couldn't get by down Madison Avenue and into Roller Coaster. And so, although Clay Williams isn't hanging about by any means, he was really quick, especially in practice 1 earlier this weekend. I'm not sure that car has the ultimate pace of the BMW. Back to the pit stops. How much does a 4-tire change versus a 2-tire change matter? 14.5 seconds. That's the difference between the 2-tire change we saw from the heart of racing and the 4-tire change from Turner.
Tim Lewis is out in the KMW Motorsports Honda. Rocco Pasquarella started that car. He had to start well down after an incident in qualifying. They are now up to 4th place in TCR with that Honda number 5. Arjuna has this BDO pit lane report.
Trying the last to 3rd challenge, potentially Rocco Pasquarella and Tim Lewis. But Rocco, I know qualifying wasn't easy. How does the race start end up going as he fought you away from the back?
Yeah, probably the most fun races I've had, whether it was in an X5 Cup or Pilot Challenge, have all been from the back. So all my starts this year have pretty much been front row, so we'll see how today ends, but maybe I gotta just hang out in the back for qualifying. Maybe that's my good luck, but no, it was a pretty good race. I saved a lot during that stint. That was the goal, and track was definitely getting hotter, and I think people are getting a little bit more aggressive with some moves. So overall, yeah, good stint. Tim's in the car. I haven't really looked at where we're at yet, but I feel like it was a pretty good stop overall. I think he stalled at the end there, which cost it a few seconds, but still got it going. And yeah, we'll see where we're at and see if we can do it again.
Pretty different conditions to what we had yesterday. How's the car feeling?
The car overall has been great. Qualifying, it was actually very, very fast, so I knew we were going to have a good car going into the race, and track definitely got hotter than it was in practice and qualifying. So just backing the braking zones up a little bit, making sure we're not getting too much into the ABS and, you know, not killing the tires. It's kind of the name of the game.
Thanks, Rocco.
Yep, thank you.
That's a very good point from Rocco Pasquarello there in that BDO pit lane report. The track temperature now is 45 Celsius, which is 113 Fahrenheit. I think that's as hot as we've seen it all week. Air temperature is 30 Celsius, that's 86 Fahrenheit. It's a pleasant summer day now for those of you in the UK. Getting towards the end of August. What time is this? Back in the UK, 8:30 on a Saturday evening, 9:30 in Europe. Sun will have gone down by now. Time to sit out and keep yourself warm. Is it time to get the blankets out while you're having the little glass, watching and listening to Virginia is for Racing Lovers back in Europe at the moment? Must be getting close to that. Overnight temperatures much more pleasant in the last week or so than they had been in June and July and the beginning of August. Lovely day here. You've got the WeatherTech SportsCar Championship qualifying to come. 2 15-minute sessions. We'll have that live for you in sound and vision, and then finishing off the day as we welcome Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup. And that will close out our track action, but for those of you here at the circuit, there is a firework display tonight. We can get away with that back in the UK at the moment, far too dry. At the front of the field, it's 14 seconds between Robert Noaker and Mike Skeen, and all of a sudden, with Matt Plum in third, Ryan, we've got 3 Ford Mustangs in the top 3 positions.
We do. Now, those 4, at least 3 of them owe us another stop, because it's the Plum car. It was Paul Holton driving it at the time. They went super long, right about an hour, if you remember, in that opening stint, and they might be trying to roll the dice on a one-stop strategy. The others, I don't see any way that they can pull that off. I'm really curious, though, about this strategy to run long here, because it cost McCumbee McAleer track position in the opening stint. Even though they've not had too much traffic to contend with, they have been losing about a half a second to 1.2 seconds pretty consistently, depending on the traffic, vis-a-vis those that had pitted already in this sequence. And I'm not quite sure what the value of staying out longer is here when they're losing track time and lap time vis-a-vis the cars on newer tires as they go deeper into this stint.
This is the 16th lap for Robert Noaker at the front of the field. He's got a little bit of traffic now. I think he might dive into the pit lane. He's just done that. I was just about to say, I think he might dive into the pit lane before he gets held up with the traffic that he's catching. So here we are. This could be the race for McCumbee McAleer Racing. The car that he's racing in, point of fact, is the number 26 Heart of Racing Aston Martin. And that car, I reckon, is coming onto the front straight now. Yes, it is. So there's no way they're going to keep up with that. And Hannah Grisham has made her final stop. So as you say, running long, and they've got a little problem with the left rear as the wheel gun was being somewhat recalcitrant. It's left sides only for that car as they're waiting for the fuel. Down and away Through goes BMW from Turner, the number 95 car. So they're going to come out well down. Well down. Now, you might say that they don't need to win this race for Robert Noaker. That's true, but where are their rivals? And remember how tight it is at the top of the GS teams and driver standings, Ryan.
Well, yes, that is what they'll be thinking about here. I suppose the good news is some of their rivals have had terrible days. Uretsky and Cooper, they were an early out. Bryce Ward has had a dreadful day as well. Oh, problems for either Ford Koch or Jackson Bell. I'm not sure who's in the car at the moment, but that was a big off. Yeah, down in turn 1.
Turn 1 again.
Yep. So, back to the Noaker situation. The car that really has been running well, that is a championship rival, that has been the Turner car, which came out ahead once again. They've used that undercut twice. It got them ahead of McCumbee-McAleer the first time, and it kept them there the second time. And they are on 4 tires as well. Remember, they changed all 4, so they shouldn't be at too much of a tire disadvantage compared to Noaker in the Mustang. So even if they finish behind McIvern and Mars, they get a little bit closer. 2 or 3 of their championship rivals aren't having much of a day today, so they kind of go by the wayside. But I look at it as a missed opportunity when so many of the rivals have struggled today. If you had scored big points, and they still could, it's not done yet, but if they miss out on scoring big points today, that could have been a chance to put a couple of crews really out of the hunt mathematically.
Right, 2 points to make. First of all, Ford Koch is net second in the race at the moment. He scored a 6th, and he's dropped a couple of positions to Billy Johnson, who has yet to make his final stop, and Gregory Leofouche, who has made, I think, his final stop.
Yes.
Possibly, yes, he has. So that's a couple of positions, or 1 position at least lost for that number 23. And meantime, in TCR, we've been watching it for ages and ages, and Denny Dupont is now back on the lead lap. He's just gone past, at the end of the back straight, into the roller coaster, he's just gone past the leader, Tyler Gonzalez. Mike Skeen leads, Matt Plum second, Lucas Weisenberg in 3rd place, then Hannah Grisham, who is the first car out of that tranche, we think, to be able to go to the end of the race. Matt Plum maybe, but Matt has only got some 5 seconds or so. Make that 9 seconds or so. No, I was right the first time, 5 seconds. And he is marginal on fuel, whereas Hannah is good to go to the end. Let's take another BDO pit lane report. Here's Arjuna.
Well, we're wondering, John, why McCumbee-McAleer may have extended to around the 40-minute mark. Well, I'll pose one thought to you and Ryan. What happens if now they don't need to do any fuel saving and they can just push to the checkered flag without any thoughts of cautions bailing them out on fuel mileage? Could this just be that they've looked at the fuel numbers, thought that this is a race where cautions aren't likely, and rolled the dice?
Yeah, but they have dropped a lot of ground. They're something in the region of over a minute behind Hannah Grisham. Now, they may not, you may say it reasonably, they're not racing her. Gregory Leofouche still has to stop. CSM, Ismail Ilahi has to stop as well, so they'll get 2 places there. I think they're looking at their rivals much more than they are looking at who might win this race. Quick hello to Clark Duffy, who is in Staffordshire in the UK, just over, just a bit further north from where I would normally be talking to you from. Beautiful part of the world, lovely evening. Chilling in the garden with a curry, watching the race. Clark, thanks for your support at IMSA Radio if you want to get in touch. So, back on the lead lap for Denny Dupont, but no let-up from Tyler Gonzalez, a 59, I say that, 59.1 last time around. His best lap is a 56.7. Mason Filippi, also a 59.1 last time around, and he's got cars between him and something in the region of 20 seconds between first and second in TCR. I don't think Tyler Gonzalez fought that hard ultimately when that pass was made by the number 76 of Denny Dupont. He doesn't need to put himself in any danger whilst he's got that kind of lead at the front of the race, Ryan.
Agreed completely. It's great if you can trap that car a lap down, and he would have had every incentive to do so. But when DuPont got alongside, there's no point in risking it. Gonzalez with a significant lead over Felipe here in this race, 18 seconds at the moment. So you don't want to throw that away, certainly. Going back to the GS fuel situation, my only pushback on Arjuna's theory, and I have the benefit of looking at a timing screen, Arjuna in the pits does not. I just don't think that the cars they're racing against have to do much fuel saving either, and the most important car to them is the Turner car, because that's the car that's up at the front that's also a championship contender. They pitted with 48 minutes to go in the race. I don't think that there's any concern of any significance for Turner to make it home from 48 minutes to go. And so I just think that any fuel advantage would be negligible. Now they have slightly newer tires. Maybe that helps them in the case of a restart, something like that. But I don't know. That is a strategy I'd like to have explained to me, because on paper, at least, it doesn't look like it's worked out quite according to plan for MMR today.
No. Robert Noack 57.4 last time around. Mike Skeen at the lead of the race, 57.2. Hannah Grisham a 56.1. And I still believe that Hannah Grisham is the leader of the cars that are fully fueled, no questions asked, of the cars to the end. Matt Plum, there's a question mark there. I don't think Matt can do the pace that he needs to keep Hannah behind, and probably maybe not Gregory Leofouge either, who's just in a 55.8 last time around. Lucas Weisenberg for BSI, how long's he been out on the circuit? No, he can't go, can he? From where he was in that 67 Toyotas. No, he's got to stop. So it's Hannah, net, I think Hannah Grisham leads. Matt Plum is the slight variable here, and he's going to be caught in a moment by Hannah Grisham. But Matt is doing something else entirely. I don't think he'll even fight Hannah when he comes through. They're looking for a podium finish or something here. So Hannah from Gregory Leofouge. Billy Johnson, I don't think, can go at the end. So after that, it'll be Ford Koch, who'll be kicking himself that he went off at turn 1, because that cost him some real estate there, and probably in the region of 10 seconds or so, maybe a little bit more. He should be ahead of Gregory Leofouge. Certainly was before he went off at turn 1. Whether he would have stayed ahead is a different matter, but you hear what I'm saying. That's the situation at the front, with Mike Skeen definitely having to stop again, and Matt Plum with a question mark, but marginal enough that he cannot race someone who can go full rich. And bear in mind as well that Hannah in 3rd place, fueled to the end, with Lucas Weisenberg in 4th place, marginal as well. But she's got 2 left-hand side tyres as well. So that's very interesting to me too. Right behind Hannah at the moment, she's just dealt with the number 12 Supra. So that hasn't held her up. So does that mean she's got a clear run up towards the leader? Oh no, that 12 Supra, excuse me, is behind Robert Noack. That's Kiko Porto, and that is a battle for position. So, and there's your problem, and that's, you know, that's part of what you're saying, Ryan. Robert Noack got dropped into traffic with people who are just as quick as him, and he's trying to go forward and catch Ismail Alehi, who has to stop again anyway. But in fact, he must have got by him by now. But he's got Kiko Porto right up his tailpipes.
Right. So, I mean, I think the big problem for Nowaker was the fact that when they ran long, the cars that pitted before them were quickly up to speed, and fresh tires, as we've talked about, have meant an awful lot here today. Then he ended up in some traffic, which hasn't helped either. Now, he's on his revenge tour at the moment, picked off a couple of cars on this most recent lap to get himself up into 11th place. But to your point, there's no guarantee he's going to hang on to that spot. Kiko Porto looking pretty threatening at the moment in the Rafa Racing Supra. And what this has done to the championship is, with McIvern and Mars running in 8th, and remember, they're going to gain positions here. I mean, so too, I suppose, will Nowaker, but several cars in front of them will pit. But that has really tightened up this championship battle. It brings the Turner duo now to within 70 points of Nowaker, who had a 100-point lead over second place coming into this weekend. So they've been chipping away, and as more cars pit, there's a bigger gap in terms of the points paid out, the higher the positions that you go. So the more positions gained here by the Turner car, even if those positions are also gained by Nowaker, because there are more points for in between the positions at the front of the field, if you follow me, that's actually a net gain for Turner. This is really falling nicely into their lap here.
Watch out as well for Gregory Leofouge. I mentioned he was doing 55s. He's still doing 55s. Fastest man on the circuit in GS last time around. He is 7.5 seconds behind Hannah Grisham. Lucas Weisenberg for BSI in the Toyota is in between them, but has to make another stop. So it's not insignificant, but don't worry about that number 67 car. Further down the field, Trenton Esteb for St Martin is having a battle with Luca Mars, and Mars has gone through since the last time. Trenton Estep is catching him for that battle for 8th position. And again, that was a 4-tyre stop for those guys that took them an extra 14 seconds, and 14 seconds is a lot to make up in the last third of the race. We're under half an hour now, 27 minutes to go. Mike Skeen pushing on, and somehow, and I'm not entirely certain how, still managing to stay ahead of the field. He's 6 seconds ahead of Matt Plum, who may or may not be running to the end of the race. But if he does, that will be Robert Liddell-like in terms of fuel saving. Robin Liddell-like in terms of saving. And Robin, if you're listening, and you may well be listening and watching this Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening probably in the UK, I've still got those Boxer 993 bits. And I've got a car cover for you as well, for a 993 next time you're passing by my place and I'm around. Hannah Grisham, net in the lead then, now within 2.5 seconds of Matt Plum, who is second. 6 seconds further up the road, Mike Skeen, but owing us a pit stop. Weisenberg, Billy Johnson, all got to drop out of those positions that they hold, 4th and 6th. So that'll move everybody else up, and attendantly will give them better points finishes. So this is looking good for Luca Mars, and just brings into focus what Ryan was saying about Macumbi Makalia Racing. Robert Nowaker 3 seconds behind Guillaume Salash now, and not gaining on the Pan-Am Motorsport Supra. Last time around was almost a full second slower. Guillaume last time 55.8, 57.3 for Nowaker, who's dropped to nearly 5 seconds behind. Are they hoping for a late race caution? Mike Skeen's doing a cracking job. When did he last pit, Ryan?
He pitted 40 minutes ago. So he'd have to carry this stint an hour and 4 minutes and 38 seconds. I mean, that's based on the time that he entered the pit lane, so a little under that, about an hour and 3 minutes, which I don't think is possible. The real question mark here is the 46, because they got remarkable fuel mileage in the opening stint to go over an hour. They entered the pits with 58 minutes, 41 seconds on the clock. Now, they had the benefit of yellow to make it, but let's say they were in the pits for about a minute. I think that's probably accurate. That means they came out with 57 minutes or thereabouts to go, a little bit under that, and that's what they're trying to make happen here on this tank of fuel. And actually, Plum's pace has been pretty good in the last few laps. Grisham's been closing in, but not by leaps and bounds like we saw earlier in the stint.
That's a good point. Very good point. Victor Gonzalez racing. Tyler Gonzalez still leading in TCR. We haven't forgotten about the dark grey Cupra. He has got 4 GS cars between himself and Mason Filippi. He's got 10 seconds between himself and James Vance. So it's Cupra, Hyundai, Audi, Honda, 4 manufacturers in the top 4, because Tim Lewis is 4th now in that number 5 car. Another 5 seconds further back. He's under pressure from Carl Whitmer. He's made a good fight back from MMG. Remember, they had a drive-through after contact from JP Montour earlier on in the race. At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch, still to come. Live in sound and vision. We've got WeatherTech SportsCar Championship qualifying, 2 15-minute sessions, and then the Whelen Mazda MX-5 race, joined by Shea Adam from Mazda in the Global Broadcast Centre for that. It's 22.5 minutes to go. 5 seconds the gap at the front of the field. Hannah Grisham just gently closing in on Matt Plum, not pushing too hard. Cameron Shields just done his fastest lap of the race in the car bound by Peregrine BMW. Number 37 has just clocked a 1:55.967 as he's chasing down Morgan Burghardt in the Aston Vantage, the CSM car. That's the battle for 16th and 17th position. But there's precious little light colours on the timing screen at the moment, Ryan. Let's just go down to the pit lane. Sorry, their decision from Hindhoff to head to the pit lane there. I didn't have my indicator on. Sorry, Ryan. Let's hear about the car that's leading. Mike Skeen, he's been out there for a very long time. Maybe he can do another 5 or 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more. But surely he can't do 22 minutes, Arjuna. Have you had the truth serum out?
I have, and I've got to say a big thank you to the team at Core for once again being open about where they sit. John, they can't do 21 minutes. They can probably do about 19 minutes, is the word that I've just been told. They are about 1 lap short right now. 1 caution, and they would be good to the end. But these are the margins that we're talking about in the Michelin Pilot Challenge.
Well, that shows what we know, Ryan. That's extraordinary fuel saving from Mike Skeen. He had a 13-second gap. He's been letting that be whittled away. 20 minutes to go. 1 lap, 2 minutes of fuel. My goodness me. He might be able to soft pedal that to a podium finish. Meantime, the championship leaders afternoon, he's not getting any better as they've just lost a position to Kiko Porto and the Rafa Racing car. So they drop down now to 12th. I think they'll get a position or 2 back. The bright red PSI number 67 Toyota surely has to pit. So right now, the gap in GS is Robert Noaker ahead by just a scant 60-point margin back to the number 95 of Luca Mars, who's only 2 seconds away from Ford Koch in the blue and white Toyota number 23, and he's not gaining on that car at the moment. Then it's Stephen McAleer and Austin Kreitz, another 60 points further back in the number 27. They're not having the day that they would want. And Trent Nestep and his teammate in the 66 GS car further back as well. So that's very interesting, but that's what can happen. And again, it just underlines that slight scratching of the head that Ryan was reporting that he was having, and I've got to say I don't disagree with you. I never like to second guess teams as good as Michelin Racing, Ryan, but they haven't, I'm not saying that they've done anything massively wrong, but they haven't really given themselves the best chance today.
It doesn't look that way, and I say that with the caveat that I could be presented with some data that tells me I'm completely wrong here, and that there were reasons for the decisions
could have had a
that
slow
they made,
puncture or something like that.
Precisely. Yeah, but just sitting where I'm sitting, the decisions that they've made to go long, I mean, this is a car that qualified on the front row, so we know it should have some pace, at least over a single lap. Maybe it's not maintaining that pace as well over the full stint. That's a possibility, but whatever the case, they have cycled backwards in each of the pit stops, and this has left them outside of the top 10 here. The saving grace for them is that the rest of the top 6 in points coming into this, the best placed of the top 6 in points in GS is 8th place. So it's not like any of the championship contenders are having a banner day, and so that means if they are struggling a little bit relative to what you would expect, at least it's not like it's going to cost them dearly. And they were the leaders coming in, so really I think it's the others that have to look at this as more of a missed opportunity than anything else, because there are only 2 more opportunities to score points left in the year.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. Luca Mars will get, I think, a couple of extra positions. He's right on Ford Koch now, and lapping now is lapping quick. In fact, he hasn't quite gone through. Billy Johnson, I'm pretty certain they'll catch him as well, even if he doesn't stop. See above comment for Luca Weisenberg. Gregory Leofouge now is half a second behind Harter Racing and Hannah Grisham. In fact, he's right with her now going through the turn 3 NASCAR bend into the left hook. That was 7.5 seconds the last time we mentioned this, and I think this could still be the battle for the lead. This could be battle for the front of the race. Up through the snake, Hannah has pulled out a car, maybe a car and a half, but there's traffic ahead in the shape of the number 46. That's Matt Plum, actually. He's coming back towards them as well. Matt, 57.3 last time around, 57.7 for Hannah. She must have made a mistake. 55.9 for Leofouge. Up at the oak tree, let's get them down the back straight, the big slide. Hannah's got no rear grip. Hannah's lost the rear grip on that Aston. She spun up the rear wheels, and Leofouge will go through into 4th position, which could yet be a spot on the podium or even closer. Time for a PTO pit lane report. Here's Arjuna.
It's been an interesting day for the TCRs, but after Bryson Norris put the Hyundai number 33 on pole, Mason Filippi sits second, and seeming as though the championship lead could grow to something like 300 points. Is this kind of the result that you needed with 2 rounds left after this?
I wouldn't say we need it, but it'll definitely be nice. I didn't really think about the number until you just said it then, so that wouldn't be so bad. But yeah, Mason's doing a great job. He's currently running second. We think the 99 is short filled, so maybe there will be a bit of drama there towards the end of the race, hopefully for us at least. So yeah, Mason's doing a great job, just doing his thing, and yeah, so great.
I'll go check on that after this, but hot track compared to yesterday. What were you feeling behind the wheel of the car?
Yeah, like you said, it's been a lot hotter than it has been since yesterday, and I felt like the front tires were going off quite a bit faster. I was struggling quite a bit in the first, say, third of the stint compared to everyone else, but then it seemed like it came to us. The feeling didn't really get much better, but it relatively was quite faster, so yeah, it was good there in the last couple laps, which is what we're setting up for. So yeah, I think Mason's going to have a great chance to do it, and yeah, he's going to do awesome.
Thanks, Bryson.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a lack of rear grip from Hannah Grisham going into the first part of the oak tree. And also just got the left rear Michelin onto part of the repaved section, maybe just a foot, 18 inches offline there. And just start to lose the rear end as she was asking for the car to turn and accelerate through there. She gets on the power very, very early. May just be paying the price for going off very quickly at the start of her stint. The track temperature has gone up to 118 Fahrenheit, that's 48 Celsius. As soon as you get towards about 50 Celsius, 120, 122 Fahrenheit, it's when the Michelin technicians start really taking notice. I mean, they're always taking notice, but you know what I mean. Air temperature has stayed pretty sensibly around 30 Celsius, 86 Fahrenheit. But this is going to be very interesting. Mike Skeen now just 2.7 seconds ahead of Matt Plum, but surely the car that he's got to be thinking about is just another 2.1 back. It's 5 seconds between Gregory Leofouge and Core Motorsport. We don't think that either of the Ford Mustangs ahead of Gregory Leofouge's Stephen Cameron's Ford, that they can't go full gas to the end, and already Leofouge has caught the Team TGM car, and there's still 13 3/4 minutes left, Ryan.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty spicy battle here between the two Mustangs. These two were pretty confident, certainly for the Cameron car. I got confirmation from the team. They're confident they can go to the end on fuel. It's a little more marginal for Plum in the 46, and Skeen's even further on the other side of that scale. We heard from Arjuna, they don't think they can make it without a caution, but this is, if that is true for Skeen, then this becomes the de facto battle for the lead here with 13 minutes to go. As for Hannah Grisham and the drop-off in her pace, my theory, John, maybe that 2-tire change, it was looking pretty good in terms of the track position it got them, but maybe it's coming home to roost here with an ill-handling race car late in the going.
Leofouge will want to dispose of the number 46 Team TGM Mustang. Identical machinery, looking very different in their liveries. Chrome blue, white and red for the TGM car, and that wonderful red purple design on the Stephen Cameron racing car. He's right up behind second place now. Will he pop to the left-hand side? I think he will. I suspect that Matt Plum, oh, he's lost the whole of the rear bumper. Plum's lost the whole of the rear bumper going into the top of the roller coaster, and that's taken off the under tray at the back as well. He loses downforce, and we've got debris on the track. 12 minutes to go. Mike Skeen might get what he wants, and he has got what he wants. Mike Skeen has got what he wanted. He's got a full course caution that will close up the race. We will not reopen the pits at this stage, so close to the end of the race. Debris and a large chunk of Ford Mustang off the racing line, albeit but over the top of a brow. I don't think there's any question that we had to bring out the Ford Dark Horse, the Ford Mustang Dark Horse safety car. So Skeen's lead, such as it was, disappears, but his worry about fuel mileage may also have gone with that lead. So good news, bad news situation. It brings Hannah Grisham back into it as well, with a potential podium surely on the cards now for the Hannahs of Racing, HRT. Was there just a little touch as they went through, or was it just the aero? No, it's just the aero. There'd been damage on the left rear guard of the Team TGM already, and the side draft from the Mustang of Gregory Leofouge alongside is what took that off. If you ever want to know how powerful aerodynamics and drafting is, particularly side drafting, show that piece of film, Ryan, because that has taken off the whole of the rear, I'll call it a bumper, you know what it is, but it's also damaged the under tray at the back, and that is going to make things very difficult for Matt Plum to defend against Hannah Grisham when we go back to green.
I'd wonder too, with more hanging off of that car still, unless that falls off here under this yellow, does race control force them to come in with a mechanical black flag?
Given it. Spot on.
Oh,
as you said, it came up on the race control field.
Well,
no,
here,
as you said it was absolutely as you said it.
He's going to try and shake this off here if he possibly can, because if it comes dislodged, then that mechanical black flag becomes null and void, as I understand it. But, this is heartbreaking for that Team TGM team. They have been so star-crossed all year long, can't buy a break. And, again, what are the odds of this? The caution that they needed to be sure they were good on fuel, it comes out, but it comes because they lose a piece of the bodywork. No contact, nothing like that, but not all of the bodywork comes off, and they're going to be called to the pit lane. Unbelievable.
They can't do that, of course, until the safety car has pulled off. Or can they? Oh, this is a mechanical black flag. No, they surely will have to come in this time around. It's a mechanical black flag. And it would count as emergency service anyway, wouldn't it? So, but it doesn't help them. They're going to lose that track position either way.
Yeah.
There's also a bit of damage. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that's how it looks. That they're really, unless it falls off now, which I'm not sure that race control would love either, frankly, if they extended this yellow by shaking off that yellow or off that debris. But yeah, they're in a world of hurt, it would appear.
So that's the GS story. TCR, Tyler Gonzalez loses all the cover that he had, those 4 or 5 GS cars between himself and Mason Filippi in the number 33 Hyundai Elantra. That's the multicoloured car. So they will start line astern. There was some concern over the 99's fuel. Laguna, as soon as he heard that from Mason Filippi's teammate, set off, saw him striding down the pit lane towards the Victor Gonzalez racing team. Now, again, good news, bad news in terms of Mason Filippi. He's now right behind the car that he wants to overtake for the victory, but the car that he wants to overtake for the victory, Ryan, is saving fuel and saving it at a pretty decent rate.
I think this is good news, though, for Filippi in terms of trying to win the race, because he would not have caught the 99 without the help of this yellow. The only question I have, this goes back to what we talked about at the very beginning of the show. How much risk are you willing to take when you're in the championship fight, right? Especially as we talked about at the top of the show for the 33 car, which has a pretty big lead coming in. The 99 is not a factor for the championship at this stage in the season. Many of their rivals are having dreadful days right now. A second place would be not as good as a win, of course, but it would be awfully good to help them inch closer to a title here today.
By the way, if I'm talking to Matt Plum on the radio, I'm going to tell him to drive off the track over a curb.
Sure. To
see if he can get rid of that bit of bodywork. Meantime, as we predicted, Arjuna, our BDO pit lane reporter, has been using the truth serum, staring people down, and he's been down to Victor Gonzalez racing. As it runs, the 33 car's lead will be 260 points, but are there fuel concerns for that leading car for the VGRT Cupra?
Did not sound like it, John. It looks like Victor Gonzalez Racing could be making a return to victory lane, but I think I agree with what Ryan was just saying. And in the chat I had with Bryson, he admitted that he hadn't thought about the number until I had mentioned it, and a quick smile popped up on his face. About 300 points with 2 rounds left to go. You take that championship lead every day of the week, John. I don't think that the 33 car is going to make too many designs on aggressive moves for the lead of this race.
The other side of that story is the car in second place in the TCR Championship. Now, Denny DePont, back on the lead lap, sits in 10th. How many cars can he pick off before the end of the race? So that 260 points now, Mason Filippi, if he stays where he is, that might not be the 260 points by the end of it. 5.5 minutes by the time we get to the line. Mike Skeen, wily old fox. I hope he knows that I say that with much respect and love for him. When will he hit the big power pedal? And it's now coming out of 17. He got a little bit of wheel spin now to the outside. Here comes Leafu. She's at the quarter panel. He's going to have to be careful here. Where is the line? He's gone through and he leads at the line. Down towards turn number 1, the horseshoe. Still on the inside. Skeen holds off. That was smart driving by Skeen, but he's going to drift wide. They have scooted away, and coming through behind them is Luca Mars. What a restart from Luca Mars. He's up into 3rd position. He's just got by Hannah Grisham. Luca was sitting in 8th before this full course yellow. Robert Neuecker went across the line in 10th position. That's the championship leader now, championship leader on his own. His former teammate won't be coming back to the championship. 4.5 minutes to go. It is the Mustangs, 1st and 2nd. Luca Mars up to 3rd place for Turner Motorsport. This will be like a win for them. Morgan Burkhardt, CSM, battling with Random Vandals as they battle with Robert McGuinness for 12th and 13th position. But the action is at the front of the field. 4 minutes to go. Virginia is for Racing Lovers Grand Prix, and we are loving the racing in Virginia. In the sunshine, in the heat, air temperature 31 Celsius, 88 Fahrenheit, 118 on the track. Matt Plum into the pit lane for his mechanical black flag, has dropped out of contention as well. They're very, very unlucky indeed. Grand Sport now, as it stands, it's 10 points between Robert Noaker and Luca Mars and Dylan McEvan, courtesy of Mars' outstanding restart. So there's the pressure now back on Noaker to try and take the victory, Ryan. He's right up behind Skeen. Skeen again goes to the pit wall early, but that's a big draft given to that number 13, from the 13 to the 95, goes round the outside. We know that the side draft is powerful here as well. We saw it ripped off the back end of that car. Now the over and under from Noaker. He's going to try and go through, and he does go through. Oh, that's genius. That's lovely. He just set up Mike Skeen there with absolute aplomb. Brilliant stuff, and there's a spin behind a turn one as well. As that's the championship leader. Is that the championship leader? I think it is.
I think so.
It is. Robert Noaker has spun to the back. There goes the championship lead. There goes the championship lead with 2 laps to go. Ryan Marine, it can change so quickly in Pilot Challenge.
Well, that's been the story all year long. No one's really been able in GS to have any kind of consistency, and Noaker, this race just went awry on the strategy. They kept losing spots, lost track position, left them vulnerable to getting tipped around. That is absolutely devastating, especially with the restart that Luca Mars has had. That bodywork falls off another Mustang. That looked like it was sitting on the racing line. This race could end under yellow, John, with just 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a full course yellow. We will finish behind a Ford Mustang. There will be 3 Ford Mustangs line astern, but the first one will be the Dark Horse safety car. Well, well, well. Extraordinary stuff. Gregory Leafouge on the penultimate run into the horseshoe has taken the lead of the race and will take the victory, charging through the 2026 Ford Mustang Dark Horse Supercharged is our safety car this weekend. White flag is out, and the forced induction V8 pulls out of the pit lane for the final time, and the Stephen Cameron Racing Mustang slots in behind. What a run for Mike Skeen, though, you've got to say. What a run for Mike Skeen. Luca Mars will be 3rd. Was there a chance of 2nd? Will they be disappointing? I don't think they will, because they've gone to the top of the championship by 90 points. McAleer and Kreintz go to 2nd. Patton and Estep on the same points as Robert Noaker, both 110 points away from the lead. It's all turned about here on the 3 1/4 miles of VIR. Gentlemen, your nominations, please, for Michelin moment of the race. Let's start in GS. I mentioned that save from the starting driver, Finn Wiesenbaum, of the 13. It's gone from bad to worse. After that, Ryan, moment of the race. Is it the pass for the lead? Is it as simple as that?
No, I think it's the restart Luca Mars had to come from, what was it, 8th or something like that, to 3rd. Call. Huge, huge, huge for the championship.
Arjuna agrees with that. So Arjuna, throw in. You can have first shot on the TCRs.
Oh, that's a difficult one. And as much as I think I'm might want to go with Victor Gonzalez Racing. Rocco Pasquarella's first stint, where he drove through the field to hand over that car in fourth to Tim Lewis. Oh, take a bow, Rocco.
Yeah, agreed. I'll sort of go with that, unless, Ryan, you can give me something that piques my interest further.
No, that's as good a nomination as I could come up with. I'm on board.
So Rocco Pasquarella, a long moment of the race, his first stint in the number 5 KMW Honda Civic that brought him from the back. He did get penalised in qualifying yesterday, so some kind of redemption there. And Luca Mars on the penultimate restart, going from 8th to 3rd, which has helped them take the championship lead for Turner Motorsport. Absolutely outstanding. What a race, and what a drive from Gregory Leofouge. About 25, 26 minutes from the end of the race, we noticed that he was down in the 55s, and he was the only driver down there, and started watching. We thought it would be between him and Hannah Grisham. By the way, Hannah got bumped all the way back down to 9. Isn't that just the story of the Heart of Racing team and that Aston Martin? In the end, he had to pass a couple of other cars, and Gregory Leofouge has done a cracking job. Mike Skeen, what a fight for second for Core Motorsport. They rolled the dice and did well, but it is Stephen Cameron Racing who take the win. Gregory Leofouge, I'm sure, will get the plaudits, but let's not forget, Sean Quinlan started that car in the Racing to End Alzheimer's at GT4, and what a job he did, Arjuna.
An incredible job. The first win for the team, the first win for Sean Quinlan. What does this feel like? I see the smile on your face.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. We've had many times where we thought it was going to happen and something would go wrong, including Road America, where we were leading the race and the car broke down. So finally pull it off and get nothing go wrong is just such a relief. And I'm so excited. I'm so happy.
How are we celebrating tonight?
I don't know. We'll probably do the usual, have a steak and a drink and go to bed early.
Go enjoy it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
In TCR, Tyler Gonzalez for Victor Gonzalez Racing takes the victory for Cupra. And again, you've got to say he'll get the plaudits, but what a good start for Stephen Clemens right at the sharp end of the field to bring that car home in the lead of the race, in second position. What a measured race, what a measured race from Brian Herter Autosport. We weren't sure whether they were playing the right game earlier on as well, but they came in leading the championship, and they will leave, Ryan, leading the championship in TCR.
And they extended that lead by a substantial margin. By the way, we were wondering how much ground DuPont and Brown could make up on the final restart. They didn't make up any positions, finished in 10th. So they find themselves now 260 points out of the championship lead in second place, but that's quite a hole to try and dig out of. This was the kind of day that Morris and Filippi dreamed of when they woke up this morning, to have a nice solid run and to have their championship rivals by and large fall by the wayside.
Let's talk to Stephen Clemens, who started the race. His teammate Tyler Gonzalez finished it, and they are on the top step of the box.
Part of the Victor Gonzalez Racing lineup, Stephen Clemens. Victor now in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. First off, how does that feel?
Feels great. Won here last year in VP Challenge, and then the second race here we had a tire go down. So it's really good making that back up this year.
What's it like being paired with Tyler, being part of this Victor Gonzalez Racing team?
It's been great. Tyler's been great. Working with him's been good. No complaints.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Some people in the early stages of, I would think, quite big hangovers. And Trenton Estep at the end. Incident responsibility.
That's big because they were fourth.
That is huge.
Yeah, they were fourth at the checkered flag, and that had put them fourth and 110 points out of the championship lead. That
Correct.
Will definitely drop them down the order, and it'll shake up the GS point standings as well.
Yeah, we'll have to reset those as well. Let's have a word with Victor Gonzalez.
Victor, I know it's been a difficult year. I can almost feel like a weight's been lifted off your shoulders.
Oh yeah, you cannot imagine. Like, all these guys have worked so hard, and we battle on through get our car better every race, fuel economy. We got a little bit of disadvantage because of the fuel capacity. I have to say thanks to IMSA, because they always try to make all the competitors equal, and just to have a win, and the guys deserve it. Tyler deserves it, and I'm so proud of my guys right now.
You said yesterday you'll be talking to me at the checkered flag. You are. Go celebrate.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely right. Yeah, that was the Trenton Estep was running into the back of the championship leading McCumbee-McAleer racing car, and I suspect that Robert Neuecker is not overly happy about that. Cost him, well, I might have already lost the championship lead, but now 110 points away from the championship lead, Ryan. And that is that's a whole different calculation going into the last two races of the year at Indy and at the final at Motul-Petit-Le-Mans.
Massive, yeah. The whole complexion of the championship changed today in GS. It's really a tale of two different the two different classes. They played out so differently. In TCR, the championship leaders consolidated that position. In GS, before the Estep penalty, the top four were separated by 110 points, which is exactly the way it came in today, oddly enough, but all the four are in different places, and some were different names. That stat changes a little bit now with that penalty that's coming to Estep late in the going, but nevertheless, yeah, it's a totally wide-open GS title fight going into the final couple of rounds.
I tell you what, Ryan, we may not be finished with this yet with penalties, because Hannah Grisham got bumped by a number of people. We know she was struggling for rear grip, and that didn't help her. She was going into turn one, but there were a couple of cars around her, including, I think, Guilherme Sales in the Pan Am Motorsport Toyota Supra. Or, no, actually, it was Ford Koch. It was Ford Koch who's been scored fourth, who gave her a real good rattle round the outside, and that certainly didn't help her situation. Let's quickly look at the results. Let's quickly look at the results, unofficial as they are at the moment. And it's Stephen Cameron Racing with the Ford Mustang, and well done to Sean Quinlan and Greggy Leofouche. What a great finish. Cole Motorsports, Mike Screen, finishing off a good run, and they really took their chances. Turner Motorsport take the lead of the championship in third with that fabulous run by Dylan McIvern, and a brilliant restart, 8th to 3rd for Luca Mars. Then the Copeland Motorsport, Toyota, Pan Am in their Toyota, Core Motorsports, Billy Johnson somehow eking out his fuel at the end to get 6th. Rafa Racing up to 7th for Kiko Porto, who drove through the field brilliantly. Harter Racing, Hannah, the two Hannahs. Could that have been a podium? Should it have been a podium? Then two BMWs, Auto Technica and Random Vandals, making up the top 10. CSM in 11th in their Aston Martin. Robbie Foley for Turner Motorsport. And the rest of the team. The big numbers there are Winward Racing down in 18th position. Problems for them with the championship. That really rather takes them out of it. And the Victor Gonzalez Racing team in 21st position. Win. TCR head of Brian Herter Autosport, KMW Motorsport, and MMG fighting back to 4th position ahead of the First the Baker Racing cars. But down in 29th, coming in this weekend in the championship lead, McCumbee-McAleer Racing. What a great debut for Wiebelhaus, and Robert Neuecker at the end didn't get the brakes. They got hit by a couple of cars at the end. RV Graphics behind them, and everyone else further down with some problems or with some penalties. Trenton Estep got the penalty for hitting Hannah Grisham. It was the Random Vandals car actually that hit the championship leader. Hit the 13 Ford, actually. I've just realised when I replay that back in my mind. And a few cars further down, they retired pretty early on in the piece. Not a good day for Ibiza Farm Motorsport. So a couple of the championship contenders have fallen away. The championship lead has changed, and it is now Turner Motorsport. I know it wasn't a win, but does it qualify for a tackle Tuesday for Turner Motorsport? They are the championship leaders going in to the last 2 rounds of the GS Championship, and Brian Herder Autosport with their 33 team have done their business well, and they increased their lead in TCR. Down in the pit lane, our BDO pit lane reporter was our Junior Kanker Party, and it was Ryan Marine alongside me, John Hindhaugh, in the Ford Racing Global Broadcast Centre. We'll see you at Indianapolis for the next round of the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. Bye-bye.